All right, so for those of you who are kind of on the fence between which handheld to get for um, just on-the-go gaming, I feel like there's a lot of things to take into consideration when it comes to what is available on the market right now. And I guess in the next coming month, the ROG Ally will be one of those to choose from. Right now it's available for pre-order on bestbuy.com. I'm not entirely sure if it's sold out yet or not. I was able to get one pretty much on the day that they announced it. But I think the thing that I'd like to touch on here is I recently made a video talking about why I felt that anti-cheat was the biggest thing that set the Steam Deck and the upcoming ROG Ally apart. A lot of games on the Steam Deck, since this is running Linux natively, a lot of those games aren't supported. And for me, that's a pretty big deal. Games such as Destiny, Battlefield, there's some others on here that don't really like to work. Mostly multiplayer games. Apex Legends is an exception, but say Fortnite. There's a lot of options here to choose from, but it just depends on your style of gaming. If you mostly like to emulate older games, I think the Steam Deck could be a fairly good purchase for you. If that's all that you're doing. If you want to try playing something a little bit more powerful, as far as like what is required out of the system, something like Cyberpunk. There are videos you can go and see just how much better the ROG Ally is so far running Cyberpunk. There's even videos of it using RTX and still hitting higher frame rates, which is really crazy. That new Ally is running, not super familiar with the specs, and honestly I'm not even going to attempt it. It's just got a lot more under the hood than the Steam Deck. Now the reason I've got my Switch out here, if we're going to be talking about handhelds, I do like to talk about the Switch. It's been kind of hard for me to pull this thing out of the closet. I picked up the OLED. I wanted something to play Nintendo games, but I feel like Nintendo has kind of been dropping the ball a little bit. I like my Pokemon games, and they've been not the best. This new Breath of the Wild has really scratched an itch, though, that I feel a lot of people will agree with. So if you're looking to get into something for more kind of party style games, I think the Nintendo Switch is for sure the best option there. And on the go gaming, the battery life is something that not a lot of people talk about. I recently beat Doom Eternal on here. Great game if you can stomach the 20 to 30 FPS and this incredibly low resolution. Very playable, and the battery life is incredible. How long you're able to play a AAA title on here, especially like Wolfenstein Youngblood and New Colossus. Those were really fun to play through, and especially games like Stardew or Cult of the Lamb. Like some of those more less demanding 2D games run really well on here. So it really just depends on the types of games that you're going to be playing. And that's why I recommend the Steam Deck if you're doing some emulating. Sorry, Chris, not emulating. ROG Ally is a bit better for that. But if you're looking to play older games, older titles that are on Steam, this only runs at 15 watts and is only a 60 hertz screen. So you're not going to accidentally be drawing more power than you should if you're not going to be looking into your console, handheld console that much. Just out of the box, if you want to play those older games, the Steam Deck will probably give you a lot better battery life and just use out of your system. But if you were to play something like Doom Eternal on your Steam Deck, like I have, it's a pretty good experience, but it's pretty much everything at medium to low, and you can experience some dips sometimes, which is why at 35 watts the ROG Ally kind of kicks its trash, but you do need access to an outlet. And in that previous video I made, I touched on the fact that for the gaming that I'm doing, I almost always have access to an outlet. I don't know how many people are going to be sharing that, but at work, on the plane, pretty much wherever I am that I'm going to be using this, I have access to an outlet, so I will be using 35 watts. This thing at 15 watts is incredibly loud. I don't know how many of you have experienced that. If you're playing something like Elden Ring, which I no longer have installed because it is such a nuisance, this thing gets pretty hot, gets pretty loud really quickly. So I'm really excited to see how quiet the Ally is. From what a lot of people have been saying from earlier reviews, it's pretty much inaudible, which I find, I'll take that with a grain of salt. It's not anything like the new ROG systems that I've seen online. If you know what I'm talking about, those are incredible. It's like a solid state chip that cools using vibrations. When those start to come in handhelds, that will be the day. You might start seeing those solid state cooling systems in some laptops here at the end of the year. But as far as sound, it's a pretty big deal to me. It's why I don't take my gaming laptop everywhere I go. I think it's just a 1650 and i5. It is loud. It is very loud. I like to kind of be discreet when I'm gaming, and I'm in an office space, so having big fans going off is really not quite appealing. And I think a lot of people would agree. Just depending on where you're at, if you're on the bus or something, if you've heard this, it's pretty noticeable. If where you're at's quiet, people will know that you're playing. So there's a lot of things that I'm looking forward to with the Ally. I feel like the fact that anti-cheat doesn't work on the Steam Deck was a kind of a deal breaker for me. I don't really feel like I'll be going back or selling this device at all. I'm probably going to hold on to it. It's a pretty cool novelty. That is kind of crushing for me. I didn't do as much looking into it as I should. I kind of saw it was on sale during that Steam sale, picked it up. As far as what I've done to try to get around it, I put Tiny 11. I got it running on an SD card and got that working on the Steam Deck. Now, it was functional, but it was not ideal. Every single time you wanted to use it, you had to hold the volume up, hold the power, go into the BIOS, select which boot. If you wanted to switch back and forth, you had to do the same thing. It just was a pain. I spent a lot of time monkeying with that. There were times when having that SD card inside the Steam Deck, sometimes it just wouldn't turn on. I ended up just formatting it, throwing it back here in the Switch so that I can have all my games downloaded. What I learned from that was that Windows is superior. Pretty much everyone here is familiar with Windows. If you're hopping straight into an Ally or any other handheld like an Aya Neo, if you're hopping into something like that with no Windows experience, of course it's going to be a little bit foreign to you, but that's just kind of how it goes. Yes, this does make sense. Having this home page, having all of that. I think the Windows or the Linux desktop side of this is pretty much pointless, useless. I'm here to game. I'm not here to do any work on this. That's kind of the whole point. So it's a tease. It's kind of a little taste of what a handheld can be when you go into that desktop mode. The whole time I'm wishing, man, I wish this was Windows. And as soon as I got the SD card running and Windows working, it was pretty eye-opening that I just want a handheld that has Windows. And then kind of started looking into the Ally a little bit more, seeing the specs, seeing everyone's kind of general opinion towards it, and I'm fairly excited. I am excited to get my hands on one. Kind of let everybody know how I feel about that. Having each of these handhelds here, and putting quite a few hours into each one. I put a lot of time into those online games. Destiny in particular. Hate the game, love the game, can never escape it. And not being able to play a lot of those online games when I have access to Wi-Fi, I just kind of feel like I'm wasting my time a little bit. So I bet a lot of you might feel the same way. And then there's probably others of you who are totally fine with just playing Atomic Heart or playing Borderlands 3 or something on the go, and that's enough for you. For me, it's fun. I've played the games, I've beat them, and now I've got to go back to kind of what my roots are, and I'm not able to do that on the Steam Deck. Not easily. It can be done, but not easily. So I think if you're on the fence about it, I think I would do a little bit more research, figure out what games that you are going to be playing. Someone can just tell you one is better than the other, and they might be a little bit right, but it really just depends on what you're playing. Now, I have no experience with this. I know some other people have. Getting Nintendo games to work on Windows. I know that's kind of a touchy subject. I guess maybe copyright, of course, but talking about it on YouTube, everyone kind of seems to be a bit hush-hush about it. But for me, just buy the game on the Switch. Just play it on the Switch. I'm not some hacker, some pirate. It took me about an hour to get a mod on Doom 2 working on my computer, so I'm really not that technologically advanced when it comes to that stuff. My biggest achievement is probably just getting that PC together to get it to work. So I do like things just working out of the box. That's why consoles are such a turn on. I love the PS5. I love the Xbox Series X. It's just a shame that I don't have the ability to access Windows, which is why I switched over to PC. I like having the freedom to have a game open, have YouTube going, or be looking on websites, just surfing, you know? So having something work out of the box and work well, I'm excited for. I know that I'm trying to remember the name of what it's called. It's the Ally's version of this. Something Crate. It was something Crate. I'm kind of annoyed that I'm not remembering the name of it now. It was having issues, but there was a recent patch that went out and all of those have been fixed. I saw a YouTube video on that recently, so that kind of clears up a bit of the, I guess, the initial fears that I was having when thinking about purchasing it. I was afraid that it would be a buggy nightmare, buggy mess, maybe things would be crashing, but it seems that all of that's kind of in the past and has been patched out. Just software issues more than hardware issues. So I think that's where I'll conclude this. I kind of touched on some of the same stuff as the previous video. I just want to see if there's other people who kind of share the same sentiment as me, that anti-cheat's a pretty big deal. There's a lot of games that if you own the Steam Deck, you've tried launching and you can't get to run because it's not supported. So having a device that has enough power to run them and just will run them because it's a Windows device, it's a pretty big deal. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like. I'm gonna maybe do a little bit more videos kind of like this, a bit unscripted, just kind of my thoughts. I'm really not, this is just kind of something I want to do for fun. I have these consoles, just something to kind of get my thoughts out there, see what other people think. Leave a comment if you disagree, if you want to argue, that'd be fun. Thank you.